when I didn't get drafted, I just remember the next day when I figured out what I was going to do next, I just wrote everything down what I wanted to do. And the first thing was, be an NBA player. And the next thing was win the NBA championship. My mind and my heart wasn't into going overseas. My mind and my heart was playing the NBA. And if I had to go to the D League one more time, it'd be it. And obviously, I had to put my pride to the side. But, I felt like it was going to be worth it.
Wasn't it something like LeBron said, he knew you belong in the league. Like, he knew you were a great player.
When I didn't make the team, he was the first person to tell me to keep my head up. You're an NBA player, you'll be back. And then that time where I spent in Canton that first year under the Cavs, he would come to my games. If I had a big game, he'll, congratulate me, he'll text me, he'll call me, he'll let me know. That does a lot for a kid, especially, coming from his idol. When I went to the D League, you could only watch my games on Facebook Live. You playing in cold arenas with 100 people there. So it was just a culture shock, but it made me go even harder. So even now, we played the Clippers the other night. It was 19,000 sold out. Everybody was watching, but I just still was grateful. I'm like a sponge. When I was in Golden State, I was asking Steph, Clay, Draymond, K, Iggy, Sean, Zaza. I was asking all those guys, just how do you have such a good career? What do I do here? What do I do with my money? How do I pack? I was just a sponge. Cause when I look at that logo, anytime I put on a shirt, anytime I'm on the court, when I look on that logo, it's just I just go back to my whole childhood. Cause literally, I had a Michael Jordan wall, I had a LeBron wall, and I had a Kobe wall, and then the rest of my room was just all Laker stuff. My dad was the biggest Laker fan ever. If you ask anybody, anytime he came to my game, anytime he picked me up from school, he had a new Laker something on. Something that wasn't probably even out yet. I don't know how he got his hands on it. It's just surreal. Just my first game as a Laker against the Warriors last week was it was a blur because it was really just I was living in a dream.
Welcome to Talks with Tay. I'm Taylor Brown, and I'm here with Quinn Cook. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So Quinn Cook, if you don't know who he is, that's crazy, but Quinn Cook is a legend. Went to DeMatha High School, Oak Hill. A huge list of accomplishments. He's a huge role model from Largo, Maryland. Played at Duke University. The list goes on. Dominating the D League. He's an NBA champion, and now is playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. So, it's an honor to have you on the show, man. And we're just gonna talk. So, I just want to go back. When we met that summer, your first camp. And I remember your speech, and you talking about the draft and all that, and then you said you went back and you wrote down your goals, and I'm pretty sure this is probably was one of your goals, to play in the NBA, and so just talk about looking back on that speech and where you are now.
I was always big into speaking things into existence. There's one thing to have a goal and dream about a goal, but there's one thing to have a goal, write it down, and apply stuff to it every day. When I was younger, my mom told me whatever I wanted to be, write it down at school, and when you come back home, show me what it is, and I'll put it on your wall. So every night before you go to sleep, read it out loud and speak it into existence, and every morning we wake up, do the same thing. So I went to school, and I always wanted to be an NBA player, so I wrote it down. I wanted to be an NBA player. she saw it, she put it on my wall, and that's something that I did, every single day till, I moved out that house to go to Oak Hill my senior year. But that's one thing I always did was just write things down and speak it into existence. So when I didn't get drafted, I just remember the next day when I figured out what I was going to do next, I just wrote everything down what I wanted to do. And the first thing was, be an NBA player, and the next thing was win the NBA championship. And I probably wrote a couple individual things after. I only wrote about 5 things, but the first 2 was, be an NBA player, win the NBA championship. And to win an NBA championship my second year, was really big for me because that's something I always wanted to do.
And then going like your journey, and I remember, I think it's amazing how when you had the opportunity with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then wasn't it something like LeBron said, he knew you belong in the league, like he knew you were a great player. So talk about like how does that feel, from that experience, and then now you're playing with him.
Well, me and Braun always had a great relationship. Me going to his camps when I was in high school, and then when I went to Duke, he came to a lot of our games. Obviously, he was close with Coach K, so he came out and showed us a lot of support. Coach, told him, how much I looked up to him. So, he always just gave me advice. And my rookie year, spending time with him, I was his rook. He was my vet, so he always would look out for me. Just going out to dinner, sitting on the plane. Just he would always give me advice. So, when I didn't make the team, he was the first person to tell me to keep my head up. You're an NBA player. You'll be back. And in that time where I spent in Canton that first year under the Cavs, he would come to my games. If I had a big game, he'll, congratulate me. He'll text me. He'll call me. He'll let me know. And that does a lot for a kid, especially coming from his idol. That does so much. So he's always been a big brother to me, a mentor, and he was a big reason why I joined the Lakers this summer. Just talking to him about the decision and us having a chance to be a special team. It's something that I always wanted, and he played a big part in that.
So when you got picked up by the Golden State Warriors, right? You were on like the D League team first, and from my perspective, like looking on the outside, it just felt like it was like the best situation, like right time, and you stepped in, and I think honestly the results would have been a lot different if you weren't there. The stepping, especially when Steph went down. So, talk about that experience, just, how that just worked out for you, man.
It's crazy. Like it was really God, really. I had a situation with the Atlanta Hawks. That training camp and preseason, and I thought I was one of the best players on the Hawks team. I had got a spot in Atlanta. I just knew this was my moment to take that next step in my career, and I just never really got the opportunity during preseason, and they made a trade, so they had to release me. And at this point, I wasn't done with the NBA, but it was at a point where I had called my big brother Nolan Smith and my mom, and I just was like, man, just tired of being let down. I'm tired of just failing, and I want to take a year off, really. And then Nolan was like, you're emotional right now. All the work you put in is going to pay off. And when you're going through stuff at bad times, you really don't want to hear that stuff. But you gotta listen to it. You gotta really take it all in. So I remember he told me, he said, sleep on it and call me in the morning. And literally, like I fell asleep, woke up, and Steve Kerr was calling me. So at that moment, it was a new thing that the NBA was trying, the two-way situation, and I had did a year and a half in the D League, and the situation was I had to play half the games in the D League, half the games up with the Golden State Warriors, and at that point I was done with the D League. I done broke every record. I done showed everybody I don't belong down there, but the only reason why I did it just because it was Golden State. Like I wanted to be under that umbrella. I wanted to learn from those coaches, the vets, just everybody on that staff. Like I wanted to learn from those guys. And, when Steph went down, like I was just ready. Like I wasn't thinking. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't nervous. I was just ready. And, my instincts took over at that point.
You said something key, like, I feel like, a lot of athletes can relate trying to chase that dream, chase that goal, and it's hard. I mean, I can speak personally. It's like, do I keep going, or is this a sign? Like, do something else. So like, you went into detail a little bit about that. How you felt. So like, what would you say to someone else who was in your shoes? Going from team to team, try out, contract to contract. What would you tell them?
I'll tell them, you know, chase the dream. Really, I know it sounds cliche, but literally, that's what I tell a lot of kids, a lot of high school players, a lot of college players, a lot of dudes who go undrafted, like a lot of dudes who get cut, man. Like, they just hit me up. I don't got to know them or nothing, but it's good to be an inspiration. But I used to look at guys who didn't get drafted and guys who, had to go to the D League or went overseas or whatever. But for me, I just always tell them what worked for me, literally. I just always believed in myself, and my confidence really never wavered. Besides that one time, I always knew, ever since a kid, like I literally would just dream and envision myself being in the NBA, and nothing was gonna stop me from getting there. And everything happens for a reason. Every obstacle I went through got me prepared for each moment of my career, and just appreciate the journey even more. Just little things, just having Gatorade after practice, just flying first class now. I had to go through a lot, and stuff that I wasn't used to. Because when I went to Duke, I mean, we traveled like an NBA team. We stayed 5-star hotels, all that stuff. You're on TV every day, every game, and you go to the D League. And you go from Duke to playing with LeBron, so it's like another, everybody wants to be around you and stuff like that. But when I went to the D League, like, you could only watch my games on Facebook Live. Like, you playing in like cold arenas with like 100 people there. So it was just a culture shock, but it made me go even harder. So even now, like, we played the Clippers the other night. It was 19,000 sold out. Everybody was watching, but I just still was grateful, because I remember, where I started at. So I literally just tell everybody just to chase their dream and just, remember, what you're doing it for.
And like, one thing I see, looking on the outside is how much support you have from your community. Yeah. But also definitely, from your family, like they help you with your basketball camps, just talk about how important is your family to you and how, that's helped you with your career.
I mean, that's the biggest. I'm blessed, I'm lucky, because I wouldn't, be nowhere near where I am today without them. I think, I don't think I know. I know they keep me grounded. They treat me as if, I'm regular Quinn, which, I act like, and they won't allow me to act any different. Like you said, personally, like, they run my entire camp. I have my best friend. He's like the commissioner. My mom is like, she does everything. My sister does everything. And it's just a great time for us to come together. And they know how hard I work. They know how much I care about basketball. Just me being a little kid, just everything I did was basketball. So the support for them, the support that they have for me is just, it means the world. And it's easy for them to do because they've been doing it my whole life. So that's really why I play, is my family, my friends, and just my close ones who really believed in me, from day one.
So in your entire career, like, even when you were younger, playing ball and growing up, what do you think was the most difficult time? I know you talked about, that transition, with the Hawks, but was there another time where it was like you just felt like it was the toughest point, in your life?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of those. I know I remember when I got cut from the Hawks, that was literally like a low point. Like, I was in like a low point for a good 7-8 hours. And I remember a couple of times my freshman year at Duke where I really struggled just mentally, and I got hurt my senior year of high school, so I played on a bad knee my entire senior year, which made me miss, the entire summer of preseason and going into my freshman year, and new team, new system, new school. I mean, I wasn't doing anything, so I started behind, and Coach K was just challenging me mentally and physically. Just I have a good practice, then I'll have a bad practice, and I'll be not in the doghouse, but like I'll be back at the end of the bench, or I'll start and I'll get complacent because I'm starting now. I have 2 good games and I'll let up and I'll go back to how I was. And I didn't buy into what he was preaching to me that entire season, and I struggled a lot. Just finally turning that corner, and I turned it my sophomore year, and I ended up having a good career at Duke. But I remember that freshman year, I was just stuck in my ways, had a lot of bad habits, from high school, and Coach K challenged me every day.
Like a lot of Americans, I came out of college with a lot of debt. It's very hard for you to break out into the IT profession, and in particular in the cyber profession. I couldn't find the relative experience, let alone a company that would take a chance on me, just with the limited knowledge and background that I had. Soda Cyber was developed to do both, to not only just give our students the ability to learn a new career, be it if they're just coming right out of college, if they're changing professions, or if they're just trying to make a new way for themselves. We're expecting to have over 3.5 million jobs open in the cyber profession. We offer job placement. Job placement is important. Once you've gone through these different professional certification courses, along with any other types of training, what happens at the end? Soda Cyber is there to give the relative book experience and also some relative and hands-on tangible experience. Students can now register on our website. Classes are now starting in January.
So at Golden State, you got to play with Kevin Durant. How was that? Just childhood friend. Like,
It was a dream come true for both of us. Literally, we literally used to talk about that when we were young. Like literally, we used to always talk about that. And even though he's 5 years older than me, we've always been close since I was 7 years old, 6 years old, and he's always just been a big brother. He's always looked out for me. And when I got to Golden State, literally, after I signed, he was the first person to call me. Like, he didn't believe that it was happening. And it was just fun being with my best friend every day. You know what I'm saying? Just, going to work was fun. Obviously, the environment that Golden State created was fun, but, you get to see your best friend every single day on the plane, in the hotel, on the bus, at the arena. It was just a fun 2 years for me. I know he had fun as well. And I got better, because he's just a basketball savant. He just lives and breathes basketball. So just talking to him every single day, working out with him every single day, just picking his brain every single day made me a better player. And when we got to play together on the court, it was like we were back home. It was just slow. It was quiet. It was just back like we were playing back and run and shoot growing up. And literally, so for us to go from that to playing together in 2 finals is just something like, I can't, just put into words. It's a great feeling.
so what was the process like when you got that call? With the Lakers. How did that go down?
It was a wild process, honestly. Just, the business kind of took over. Like, my situation was different. I was a restricted free agent. So I think my whole mind was going back to Golden State. They picked up my qualifying offer, which showed that they wanted me the next year. So the business happened. Some trades went down. Some signings went down. And I got lost in the shuffle. So, me and Golden State parted ways on the 3rd day. And the Laker thing just happened, literally. Like, it just happened. Literally everything fell into place. And growing up, I was the biggest Laker fan ever. So I didn't want to look at it as a fan. I wanted to really still look at it as the best business and career move for me. And everything lined up perfectly. And, it's still shocked, like, just going back thinking about it. But, me and my team, we made the right decision. And I'm just thankful and happy that, they wanted me to be a Laker.
Yeah, so you said, you're a Laker fan ever since you was young. And just seeing that picture of you and your dad, and saw KD say it was this time. Like, just talk about that, how that it actually happened.
Yeah, it's still just weird. It's not the good word, but it's just surreal. Cause like when I look at that logo, anytime I put on a shirt, anytime like I'm on the court, when I look on that logo, it's just I just go back to my whole childhood. Cause literally like I had a Michael Jordan wall, I had a LeBron wall, and I had a Kobe wall, and then the rest of my room was just all Laker stuff, old Laker players, current Laker players. Just everything was Lakers, and my dad was the biggest Laker fan ever. Like if you ask anybody, like anytime he came to my game, anytime he picked me up from school, he had a new Laker something on. Something that wasn't probably even out yet. I don't know how he got his hands on it, but that's how he was. He loved his Lakers, and I was born into it. And then obviously when I was, starting to realize, learn about the game and start to pick your favorite players, the Lakers were winning. So it was a great team, to be a fan of. And it's just surreal. Just my first game as a Laker against the Warriors last week was it was a blur because it was really just like I was living in a dream.
So, I mean, it's probably an obvious question, but what do you think is better, LA or DC?
I mean, I'm going to always say DC because that's kind of, I was born in DC. I lived my first couple years in DC. Just everything that I did as a kid went back to DC. So I spent 17 years in DC every single year. I only been in LA right now for 2 months, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's just a beautiful city. It's so much you can do, so much food you can eat, just so much things you can learn, so much diversity out here, and the fans are incredible, and they just always show love, and it's a place where everybody lives, and you can just do a lot of networking and business. So it's always great. I'm just thankful that I'm here.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Just being in LA, like it's the best place to network, and I see you more as a basketball player, like an entrepreneur, because you have your own basketball camps. Like, do you have any other future goals outside of basketball that you want to do?
Yeah, well, I majored in theater when I was in college, literally by accident. So I fell in love with that in college. So I'm really into that. So obviously I'm in a hotbed, of Hollywood and theater. But I want to I'm producing a couple documentaries right now. Me, KD, Victor Oladipo. We have something coming out soon. But I always see myself commentating. Like Kenny Smith is like the perfect guy. Like he doesn't commentate, but he's like the face or one of the faces of TNT's inside stuff, inside crew, and they just literally go up there and talk basketball. But he wasn't an all-star. He was never a guy who could score 30 points every night, but he's well respected by everybody, and he's a winner. He won 2 championships, and that's somebody who I kind of want to be have a relationship with everybody in the league, and just well respected. So just being on TV, just commentating, talk about basketball is something that I want to do, until I'm 80.
Yeah, I mean that's very true. Everybody speaks highly of you, especially back home. But I do want to ask you from a business perspective, what made you decide that you wanted to stay and play in a D League and and not go overseas? Because I know a lot of guys, they try to go overseas to make it here. But do you think it's smarter? I don't know. Is it smarter to stay here and try to make it here than to go overseas?
I think it depends on the situation. I think it depends on the person and the player. For me, it wasn't a financial decision. It was just I want to play in the NBA, and I feel like this is my, best route to the NBA. And then when I went to preseason with the Cavs, I had some success. So there was nothing telling me to go overseas. I could have made a lot of money quick, but I didn't play basketball for money. I played to have fun, obviously, but I played because I wanted to make the NBA. And I just knew I wanted to be happy. But the next year after that, the money increased overseas, and it was enticing, but not really. It was nothing to where I have to go get that because I'm not making nothing here. Literally, I had a meeting. I had a meeting, and like the person was telling me this about that and this about that about this country and that and stuff like that, and like it was just blah 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 blah. Not just being disrespectful, but my mind and my heart wasn't into going overseas. My mind and my heart was playing the NBA, and if I had to go to the D League one more time, it'd be it. And obviously, I had to put my pride to the side, but I felt like it was gonna be worth it. I just wanted to look myself in the mirror and just have no regrets. And I made the right decision. But obviously, at that time, I had a lot of people telling me, basketball players from DC, agents. There's people in basketball like, man, go overseas, go get you some money. But literally, like overseas never crept in my mind just because I wanted to play in the NBA so bad.
It's real because that's all everybody says is go overseas, like exactly what you said. But my next question for you is, so what's the difference? I know you just got here, like it's still early, but what's the difference from like Golden State, playing for Golden State and then, playing, for the Lakers? But again, I know it's early.
There's a lot of similarities so far. Just I think when you try to build a culture, the players and the coaches you get kind of set the standard. So there's a lot of winners here. There's a lot of people who knows what it takes. So I'm like a sponge. Like when I was in Golden State, I was asking Steph, Clay, Draymond, K, Iggy, Sean, Zaza. I was asking all those guys, like, just how do you have such a good career? Like, what do I do here? What do I do with my money? How do I pack? I was just a sponge. And now, getting that knowledge for 2 years and being successful and coming here where, I've had some success, but also, now I got Rondo. Now I got Bron back. Now I got Avery Bradley, who's had a great career. Now I got, AD. Now I got Dwight. It's just so many people. I get to learn from Jason Kidd every day. Coach Vogel, like I grew up watching, Coach Vogel coaching Indiana. And it's just Rob Pelinka just does such a great job of just putting everybody together and just making it fun to come to work every day. Like, literally, it's fun. I don't think about I got to get up early to go to practice. I literally think I got to get up and go to practice, but I'm going to be with my guys. So I get to learn every day. So once I started to think like that, it helped basketball come a lot easier. So it's a lot of similarities so far. Obviously, the Bay is different from LA, the weather and just the scenery is everything. But, the fans are passionate here, and it's something I'm used to.
So what's one thing about you that people don't know? Like, it could be anything that, people just don't know about you.
Yeah. I'm like very outgoing. Like, if you see me, like, I'm always not really like the life of the party, but like I'm always like smiling and just laughing and joking. But when I get free time, like I really just like to play video games and sleep. I didn't know how addicted I was to video games until I got to the NBA, because like literally, like when you in high school and college, like your schedule's full. You only got a couple hours to really do whatever you want to do. But like when I got to the league and even the D League, like you go to practice for 2 hours out the day, and now you got all day, of free time, and literally like I'll be playing video games all day. One game, I play one game all day, every single day, nonstop. So, my brother tells me all the time that I'm addicted, and I was fighting it for a while, but now I just accept it. I'm addicted to playing Madden every single day, and I guess I'm a nerd, I guess.
So let's go back to your camps. How much, like, what does it mean to you to have, basketball camps, and just, seeing the youth wearing your T-shirts and the whole city's behind you. You have your own day. Like, how does that feel?
I mean, it's something I can't really put in words. It's something that it's the best feeling. It's the best part of this job, when you could learn something from somebody and give it back to the youth, give it back to the people behind you. For me, I grew up going to every single basketball camp. Like my mom, my dad, they try to put me at every basketball camp. They thought that I would have fun at and I could possibly get better at. And like I met a lot of my friends growing up at camps. So camp was a big part of, my life growing up in my summers. So to have my own camp, it's a dream come true, and to see all the kids with my name on it, and my family runs the whole thing. Just it's really the best feeling, and the fact that we had some success and numbers go up every year, um, it makes it a little bit more better. But like I said, like we had 400 kids this past year. I didn't care if it was 2 kids. Like it's just a dream come true for me to have my own camp, and we try to give scholarships to less fortunate kids who can't really afford it and stuff like that. We do a great job of just trying to keep not just basketball, but keep it fun, reward the kids who get good grades, just try to keep it, productive as possible.
And how important is it, because I know you like do yoga and stuff, like, ZZ and like, she does your camps and stuff, but how important is that? How has that helped you, with your career and just taking care of your body?
Just learning, just there's more knowledge that you can learn. Just trying to, get every edge as possible. For me, like I'm not the most athletic, I'm not the tallest, I'm not the fastest, so I try to get every edge. If it's trying to eat right, trying to get some sleep, trying to stretch as much as possible. Like I said, I've been fortunate to be around some great vets in my career, so really just see how they do, see their routine, and just ask a lot of questions. Like I ask so many questions, and I could be probably annoying at times, but I just like to ask because I want to get where those guys are. So having that edge, and now I have a great routine for me. I mess up sometimes with my diet, but that's really the biggest thing I'm trying to overcome. Just trying to really commit to, just eating as clean as possible. And, I have a therapist. I have a chef now. I have stuff that I couldn't afford growing up, stuff that I couldn't afford in my early years, but that's what it takes now. You got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in your body. And, to have a long career, like I want, I got to start doing these things at a young age.
All right, man. Anything else, you would like, people to know about you, or anything else you would like to share about your story and, your journey?
For me, I think that, and I struggle with it at times, but it's easy to be positive when things are going well. It's easy to be positive. It's not easy to be positive when things aren't going well. When you didn't get that job, when you failed that test that you studied long for. Just there's a lot of things that I went through, and not just in basketball, well in school, and just making new friends, or saying no to family members, saying no to people that I had a tough time with. Just there's a lot of stuff that I can share, but the biggest thing for me is just always believing in yourself. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't do something. If you think you can do anything in life, you got to believe it first before your friends, before your family, before anybody can believe it. And just stay positive as possible. Stay positive. Always be ready for the opportunity, whatever it is. You'll always, get a couple chances at whatever you want to do. Just always be ready. You don't want to get the opportunity and not be ready. So you have to have that thought in your mind for the rest of your life. And just be positive, really, man. When I started to just be positive on things, not feel bad about myself, not get too down on myself, I started to see progression in my life. And that's really it. I appreciate you, coming through and me being on your show.
Thank you, man. Like, it's an honor again to have you on the show, and I know you're busy in LA, but I really do appreciate it. So that's a wrap. Thanks for watching Talks with Tay, and stay tuned for what we got next.